Welcome everyone to this episode live with the Managed Service Provider Association of America. Today's guest, Joseph Adis from Shape Integrations. Joseph, welcome to the show.
How are you?
Doing great. How's it going in sunny Florida?
Excellent. Beautiful weather here.
Excellent. Okay, well, give us the backstory. Tell us about Shape Integrations.
Yep. So we originally started in New York City over 10 years ago. We were named another company back then, but I'm originally born and raised in New York City, as is my business partner. We linked up. We decided to start the company initially, for as an MSP for IT services. Um, and then eventually we got older, I got married, wanted to spread my wings. I ended up moving to Miami, Florida. We acquired another business down here. um, we did the same thing in Houston as well. And that's pretty much how we learned how to grow, and spread our wings, and learn how to manage different locations, customers, across the US. um, and here I am now.
Excellent. There's a lot of grind that goes into starting a business, let alone have three very distant locations. How have you learned to manage that part of the business?
You know what? In the very beginning, it was not easy. It took, I would say, a good 12 to 16 months, or 12 to 18 months to really get a grip on everything. But it all came down to sharpening our customer service skills, and also ensuring that we budget for enough technicians for the said region. Depending on how many customers we have in that particular region, that's how many technicians or on-site technicians we allocate. And we do everything in-house. We don't outsource, because I know a lot of other MSPs, they like to just find random people online and outsource them. We don't do that. We're fully in-house, because we are very focused on the customer experience.
So you have your own employees in New York, Miami, and Houston.
That is correct.
What do you find the differences in the like the human aspects of the market? What are clients like differently in Houston versus Florida versus New York?
Oh, that's a great question. So, it's a question a lot of people ask me. And New York, I'm a New Yorker. We are very upfront. Uh, we're not afraid of confrontation. If something bothers us, we speak up. So if, for example, you want to negotiate on a deal, um, you know, my a potential customer, or an existing customer, wouldn't be scared to, um, try to negotiate or challenge me, ask particular questions. Whereas in Miami and in Houston, it's they're more lax. They're not as indulging. Um, a little bit more on the quieter side. Yes, you have the people who like to challenge me, which I love. But you also have the majority, I realize, and I'm not saying in a bad way, but I realize they're, not as not enthusiastic. I'm not sure the word, but it's more, they're not as strong to challenge me, or to try to negotiate, or to try to ask certain
Hmm.
questions. Like, oh, if they don't like what I say, it's more I'll shop elsewhere.
Yeah, they just walk away. You find so that's the
Yeah,
difference. In New York, they'll engage in the battle of the negotiation, but you find in Florida and Texas, they just kind of walk away.
correct. However, when we come across New Yorkers in Florida or Texas, it's pretty much like I'm in New York again, with with the challenges and the negotiations, and so on. Because
Hmm.
if I present to their liking, you know, but they don't like the price, for example, just one example of the many, um, then they'll challenge it. Um, Whereas, yeah, Houston, and the native Texans, the native Floridians, it's more like, they don't really say anything. It's just, you never hear from them again.
Hmm. Cool. What type of clientele do you like serving in the three different markets?
Professional, professional industry, so like accountants, lawyers, doctors. We do a lot of wholesale manufacturing as well.
Mhm.
Um, I would say
And
that's
does that change in the different geographies? You have pockets. Is Houston different than New York in the type of clientele that you serve?
no, it's pretty much the same across the globe. Um, I would say Houston and Miami are more medical and professional, whereas New York is more wholesale and manufacturing. We do have, accountants, doctors, lawyers. We have that in New York as well, but I find that the wholesale and manufacturing is bigger in that area.
Hmm. Is that a preference of you, or you got like a vein of referrals that came through and grew the business that way?
Just referrals. It's definitely not a preference. We're not closed to, I wouldn't want to service a bank, with the
Mhm.
liability involved. That's the joke I have. But we service most small to mid-sized businesses of any type.
Has that portfolio evolved as you've grown to these different markets, or as you've evolved as a business owner?
Yes, it has.
What
For
did you start off with, and how's that changed?
We started off mainly with wholesale manufacturing. Where we're at now is more like we've taken on a couple of real estate firms recently. We've taken on more professional services like doctors and lawyers in the last 2 years than we have in the last 10 years, for example. There's another company where they're focused on AI and automation. Of course, that's very new to us and to the industry in general. Um, that's what comes to mind right now. I'm sure there are more. There are another one or two other industries that's just not coming to my mind right this second.
Are some of your first clients still clients?
Actually, yes, yes. We really have, unless a customer has been acquired or went out of business, you can't please everybody, but I would say most, 97 to 98% of whoever we started with are still with us, of course, with the exception of going out of business or
Hmm.
getting
Tell us some
acquired.
of those stories. Like who are some of these original wholesalers that you did business with? How's their business evolved with technology as your relationship has grown with them?
So one of our very first customers, they started off with maybe 5 to 8 employees. They now have 60 employees in 4 different locations. So
Wow.
I love seeing my customers grow. I love growing with them as well. Um, and we both also, learn, how to master the business better that way.
Mhm. I mean, that running a 5-person business and a 60-person business, completely different lifestyles.
Correct.
How has that changed? And, like, from your lens of supporting their technology, how has your relationship with them changed as their business has grown?
Tremendously. So by the way, we started off, we were maybe 3 employees at one point, and now we're up to 15. It changes in a lot of ways. It changes personality wise, um, uh, just the way we discuss things, whether it's openly or privately, the way we make decisions based on what the customer needs. That has changed. The way we implement new features or new ideas to the customer, that's changed as well. Like you cannot certain things that work for smaller businesses of 5 to 10 employees or even 20 employees in one office are very different. You're going to implement it in a very different manner than if they had 2 offices or 4 offices in that matter in that case, and of course 60 employees. Those are things you have to take into consideration. It's a
Mhm.
lot easier to manage, a company of 5 employees, because who don't have a high turnover rate because you can train them better, for example. Whereas a company of 60 employees, the turnover rate is significantly greater. And the tactics we use to try to train them against, phishing, for example, um, you know, virus and virus and malware prevention, it's a little bit differently. The onboarding process is, it's a little bit more personal because we have to, we don't know how long that user is going to last. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we kind of have to personalize the experience and make sure that not only they remember what they're learning when they're onboarded, but to also provide recurrent uh, training to make sure they are up to date on the latest issues that are out there in the market.
Mm-hmm. Does that how big of a percentage of your relationship with the client does human resources, employee onboarding and offboarding sort of capture in the overall relationship you have with them? Because it sounds like that's a big component when they grow to 30, 40, 50, 60 employees.
Right. So um, I would say we've, especially lately, we've been spending more time than not on making sure that users are up to date with the latest information. We started doing, marketing emails or marketing blasts lately, and not really marketing for, oh, this is what we offer. It's more marketing as for, what to be aware of, um, and what to be careful from. The new types of phishing emails that are going on, the new type of scams, that those phone calls, those fake Easy Pass text messages that you're, or fake toll messages that you've been getting on your phone lately. So we've been keeping the users up to date on those, for example. Um, we also, as a company, we have to be ahead of the game as well. So we have to have open meetings with our employees, or with our team members, to make sure that we are not overlooking anything, because we are us as the the business owners. We can get old fashioned, or we can get a little bit complacent at times. It's our team members who really keep us in shape
Mm-hmm.
and keep
Mm-hmm.
us up to date with this information. Yes, I'm doing my part, my partner is doing his part as well, but we're also human beings at the same time. So we have to make sure um, that we listen to our employees to make sure that we're not missing out on anything.
What are your plans going forward? You thinking about a fourth location now?
We actually are, yes. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
discuss that openly right now, but
No spoilers.
yes, we are working on a fourth location as we speak, and we are also working on um, a little bit beyond that as well. But yes, I can't really give too many details right this second.
Sure, sure, sure. And what's the like as the business owner, like what's the motivation to hop geographies as opposed to grow larger in the existing ones? Like, well, how why you choose this recipe for your strategy as opposed to another?
Um, it's a little bit of a mixture of both, I would say, because we do have, for example, we actually just had a sales rep that we hired in South Florida. He actually ended up moving out of the country. Um, a little bit upsetting, we were upset to see him leave, but he definitely did lead the way in growing our market down here. Something similar in New York as well. We had a sales rep um, in New York a while back as well. He decided to take on another uh, uh, offer from another company. So it's like I said, it's a little bit of a mixture of both. It's more of how do we want to spend our resources and our financials. We tried the sales rep route in the regions that we currently service. While it's been successful, we also want to try new things. Um, you know, what you allocate a certain amount of money towards, towards sales or towards marketing or towards acquisitions or towards expansion. We want to kind of try each one and rotate between them, because certain certain directions are going to be more beneficial at certain times of the year or at certain economical stages of America, versus other directions are going to work out better depending on how the economy is doing,
Cool. So
or other
this
routes, I
is
would
the
say.
quintessential hunter versus harvester algorithm to live by. You're going location to location, and then going harder in each location as you grow.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, Joseph, great to have you on the show. Thanks for telling us your story about Shape Integrations. Welcome to the MSPAA family. Where can everyone find you?
My website, shapeint.com, by phone, social media, or LinkedIn. I don't think I'm missing anything else, am I?
No, that's perfect.
Yeah,
We'll put your LinkedIn profile in the show. We got the URL right here. Joseph Addis, COO of Shape Integration. Thank you for joining us on the show and telling us your story.
perfect. Thank you for having me.